Environmental economists spend a lot of time talking about value, and a useful framework for that value is provided in this graph here. Because values that we talk about as environmental economists are not things that you can see in the marketplace like a box of cereal or a car. They're things that don't have prices, pollution or an endangered species. So we need a good framework to deal with those types of values. The first type of main group of values is what we call use values. On the right, we're going to have non-use values. I'm going to come to those in a second. Use values are broken down into direct use and indirect use. And then on the direct use side, we've got extractive and non-extractive. So let's look at some examples. So here's an example of extractive use. We value forests in part because we can extract timber from those forests, timber that could be used to sell to somebody else or to build our own houses or furniture and things like that. But not all use value is extractive. So consider these recreational fishermen, or let's assume that they're catch and release fishermen. They are using the fishery. They clearly value the fact that these trout are swimming upstream, but they don't actually take anything from the fishery. So their use is non-extractive. A lot of the values that we might look at are not going to be necessarily positive values, but negative values. So in this case, the pollution has damaged a forest, and this has led to a diminishment in the use value, in the sense that we've lost timber, in the use value that we can no longer go there and listen to birds sing or view wildlife. On the other side of the use value graph is indirect use. So this talks about uses that are not direct. So think about this watershed, this forest system at the top. It provides water that is then generating all sorts of indirect uses. So it provides water for agriculture, provides water for the cities below. So we may value the forest that protects that watershed and the services that are provided from it, but we might place the value, might determine the value by looking at those indirect uses of the water, or the direct uses of the water that are provided indirectly by the watershed itself. Now on the other side of the spectrum, we have the non-use values, which we break into bequest value, existence value, and option value. So here's an example of bequest or option value, the Grand Canyon. If you've never been to the Grand Canyon, you've got to go. In fact, you probably value the option to be able to go. So option values refer to valuing a resource that you're not using now, but you want to preserve the option to use that in the future. You might also want to preserve that option for future generations. So we all may say, yeah, I'd love to protect the pristine Grand Canyon environment because I think future generations should have access to it. Another type of value is what we call existence value. And existence value refers to things that we're never going to use. We're never going to see, and nobody is, our future generations are not going to see, but we simply enjoy the fact that it exists. And an example of this might be a panda in a natural environment. We all may place value on the fact that the panda exists in that environment. We know that it's out there, but we don't actually plan to use it at any point in the future. And these are values because people are willing to pay dollars to preserve that existence. Classically, the World Wildlife Federation uses a panda bear as its symbol, specifically because people do value the existence of this animal. So there's the general framework for value. This will inform the way we think about placing a dollar value on particular types of environmental services, and it should inform you the way you think about that the environment, even if there's no prices, there frequently are values and people are willing to pay for those services. The key reason that we need to distinguish between use value and non-use value and all the different types of values underneath it is it helps us understand what types of things we're looking for and what kind of data we might need. For example, use value associated with actual behavior. We can look at choices that people made, things that they've bought and the prices they've paid. Or in the case of if it's a non-extractive value, say a recreational fisherman, we can talk to them. What kind of trip did you take? How much did you spend to get there? These are going to help us to put a dollar value on these types of values. Non-use values, on the other hand, are values that are associated with thoughts. They're not actually choices that people make. So for somebody might sit on their sofa and think, I'd really value the existence of a panda in the wild, or I really value the opportunity to visit the Grand Canyon in the future. But we can't actually see what they've done in order to put a dollar value on those values. So that's why we need to understand these the whole value taxonomy. It helps us understand what kind of methods we might use in order to put a dollar value on these values.